Hello, my name is Ascald, and I'm here to do a reading of Dan vs. the Magic of Friendship Season 1, written by Barrow Broadcaster. Recording me is Nightshade 6193, also known as Chris by everyone else. The sun set on a beautiful Ponyville day. Twilight and Spike walked back to the house and noticed how the lovely light of the sun bathed the town in a beautiful orange glow. They'd said goodbye to their friends at the train station and departed, closing the chapter in their recent adventure in the Crystal Empire. They were both happy to be back home. Twilight gripped the knob with her magic and opened the door to her house. "And where have you two been?" a loud voice demanded. Standing in the foyer of Twilight's house was one of Twilight Sparkle's house guests, Dan. The pale-skinned, dark-haired biped stood with balled-up fists at his side, teeth gritted in an expressing of fuming rage. Dan, as Twilight knew him, was a very loud creature from another dimension. Known as a human, he was the only one of his species Twilight knew personally, and the only one that had magically appeared here from Earth. "I'm sorry, Dan," Twilight apologized as she entered. "We kind of had to leave in a hurry, and you weren't here at the time." "I was out getting groceries," Dan shouted in exasperation. "I come back to find both of you gone, and not so much as a note left to tell me where you went." Dan had a reputation, both on Earth and Equestria, for being easily disgruntled. He had a tendency to let little issues anger him, leading to irrational overreactions about otherwise small problems. While there were some individuals, even in Ponyville, who at times let little things get out of hoof, Dan took things to the next level. Often he would seek vindication for himself against those who he perceived had done him wrong. This time, though, Twilight could see how he could be upset with her. The purple dragon and unicorn walked over to Dan. "I'm very sorry, Dan," Twilight reiterated. "We were only gone a couple of days. I told Flufflepuff to tell you where we were going." "Where is she, anyway?" Dan looked up the roof to the house. "She discovered the ceiling fan." His voice had immediately changed to a slightly calmer yet disappointed tone as he explained. Spike raised an eyebrow. "We have a ceiling fan?" "Had a ceiling fan," Dan clarified. "Now we have a disco ball." "What?" "Turn off the lights." Curious and confused, Twilight walked over to the light switch on the wall and turned it off. The room was immediately illuminated by the swirl of tiny lights that circled the room. Twilight looked up to the ceiling to see a glowing pink magenta ball rotating with pinpricks of light coming out of it. The pink head of a pony poked out of on one side of it, hooves dangling to the floor. Flufflepuff looked to be having the time of her life as she slowly spun. "She's been stuck up there since you guys left." "What? Why haven't you tried to get her down?" Twilight flipped the lights back on. Dan shrugged. "I don't have wings or magic." "So you just left her up there?" Spike asked. "I tried to pry her off with a lad and a spatula. I came down 20 minutes later and the spatula was missing. I think your flap absorbed it." Spike put a claw on his chin. "Did you try spraying her with water or something?" "Spike, she's not a cat," Twilight chastised her assistant. "No, I did try that, but she kept drinking the water." Spike shrugged. "Well, at least she stayed hydrated." Twilight sighed. Using her new wings, she flew up to the ceiling. With care, she untangled Flufflepuff's fluff from the blade with a spell. The pony's body made a noise like Velcro as she was removed from the fan. Twilight then set the pink puff ball pony on the floor and landed next to her. "How was she making all those lights?" Spike asked. Flufflepuff responded by coughing up a flashlight. Spike's reflexes caused him to catch the regurgitated light before it hit the floor, but he quickly dropped it, recoiling from the gross, spat-up item. Flufflepuff stared at Twilight for a split second before gasping and embracing her and Spike in a fluffy hug. She licked the cheeks of both and then ran past them into the kitchen. The fluffy pony wasn't just a ball of hair, she was also a ball of energy. Twilight didn't even bother to ask how she'd gotten on the ceiling in the first place. "You guys are always doing things like that," Dan continued, still upset. "You're always going off on some random errand and leaving me here with that pink demon and the queen. In fact, if it wasn't for Queen Chrysalis, I would have left you a long time ago." "Since when did you start liking Queen Chrysalis?" Spike asked. Dan turned away. "I've always felt strongly about the queen. Her grace, her radiance, that power, it's just so much. There's no more beautiful creature in all this world, and she deserves all our love, he announced, placing a forearm on his head dramatically. Twilight raised an eyebrow. Uh-huh. So where is she? Dan turned back around. She's probably out displaying more incredible, selfless acts of her good nature somewhere. You know how she is, always trying to help some pony in need. Really? Twilight asked, a grin forming on her face. I guess Chrysalis can be a good friend. I just wish she'd do something about the BO, she said, casually eyeing Dan with a peripheral gaze. The dark-haired man gave his right armpit a self-conscious whiff. I don't have BO, and I shower every— Aha! Twilight interrupted. Twilight aimed her horn, and the imposter was enveloped in a magenta aura. The creature claiming to be Dan was lifted into midair. Hey, put me down! What's the big idea? Spike walked over and pulled up Dan's pants leg. A round hole was just above the man's pale ankle. Drop the act, Chrysalis, we know it's you, Twilight said. Drat, the imposter said, his voice sounding liquid-like. I still have trouble changing into bipeds. The form of Dan quickly flashed and in a burst of light transformed into the dark visage of Queen Chrysalis. Is it too much to ask for some peace and quiet around here? Queen Chrysalis moaned, descending to the floor. I was just getting used to the two of you being gone. Spike folded his arms. Just because we're not here doesn't mean you can glue Flufflepuff to the ceiling fan. Chrysalis blushed. Actually, that was her idea. Oh, Twilight said. Well, at least that's been taken care of for now. Everything else looks fine, she said, looking around. I don't think we forgot anything. Just then, the real Dan descended from the staircase, brushing his teeth. Spike waved at him. Hey, Dan, you do all right. Where we were, Dan's toothbrush fell out of his mouth as he noticed the two. He gritted his teeth, his eyelids twitched, and it looked like his face was about to boil red. And where have you two been? He shouted.